Podcast. I'm Kelsey. I'm the person who's usually here. And below me is Maddie. Say hi, Maddie.
Hi, my name is Mads. What's up?
This is Maddie's first time on the podcast. However, she joined me once for my Let's Play Melody of Magic. What's that, Harvest Moon?
It was that one. It was the game that you didn't like and you found it very weird.
Yeah, that game terrifies me. Like, I actually thought about that game again the other day. The art, like 3D models, are like the scariest things I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, so Maddie joined me for that once, and I don't know how good of an impression it was of those Let's Plays because I was so burnt out and just horrified about life when that happened. Maddie, tell people a little bit about yourself, what you do with the company, things like that.
Alright, sure. My name is Mads. I came in as a junior producer and now I'm also helping out with the marketing team. Anything in social media is pretty much us. So that's all.
You're good. That was a good introduction.
I'm nervous.
No worries. It's okay. Being on camera is kind of scary. You kind of get used to it though. As you can see, Mads is in the office right now and there's people behind her. But they're gonna be leaving soon. But anyway, total diversion to the side. What we're like kind of here to talk about today is it's a little less Wild Season centric and a little bit more Quickfire centric. We've had some people asking recently about how people join Quickfire, especially me being 4,000 miles away from the central office. And I told this story to Maddie once, and she was like, what the hell? Because it's a long story that goes into really strange territories. But obviously, me talking about that by myself makes me sound like an egomaniac. And so every time they would propose this on the podcast, I'd just be like, no, I'm by myself, I can't do it. So Maddie's here, and Maddie's going to tell us how she joined Quickfire and stuff as well. And kind of just after we tell how we joined and all of that, just going to talk about how, it doesn't have to be as conventional as I think people think it is, and the job positions aren't exactly as level as people think they are sometimes. So
This is just like a topic that anyone can be in the game industry as long as you have the passion for it.
because people need a lot more than just, obviously programming's important, art's important, and the things that go into the actual game itself are very important, but just because you can't contribute to the actual making doesn't mean that you aren't contributing to the actual making, if that makes any sense.
To the actual game.
yeah, to the company as a whole and, all of that. So, Maddie, tell us how you joined Quickfire. And
To begin with, I've been playing video games ever since I was a kid. I was one of those kids who played Gran Turismo, Grand Theft Auto, and Call of Duty. So I went to college with a game design track. And when I was doing my internship, I met Sharon, and that guy is just, he has so much ideas and he's just so energetic and ADHD, and he just got me. Like how he works, how he talks, and how he sees the world is just really amazing. So I joined in as a junior producer to help out with Wild Season because I love the game Harvest Moon. I grew up with that game. And pretty much that. And just so you know, I took game design development, but I suck at programming. I am bad at art. I don't think I can write. I think I can, but not good enough. Not good as Kelsey. So I went up to him and said, what am I going to do? I'm like, I'm not good at those things. I have rudimentary things about it. He said, that's when he told me there's more to video games than programming and art. Then he started showing me the marketing side, then we started getting into the business side, and lo and behold, here I am.
And Maddie's been all sorts of places because of Quickfire too. She came over South by Southwest, and before that we did
GDC.
Yeah, GDC. So Maddie's one of two people that I work with that I've actually met in person.
Yeah!
And she stayed with me for a while I had bronchitis and double ear infection and pink eye all at the same time.
It was a triple threat, and then I was like, Kelsey, what am I supposed to do? How am I going to help you?
And I was like, it's okay. I worked a booth for 8 hours for 3 days.
I know, I was so amazed. It's like, she had a really painful throat, and she was out there talking to like 100 people.
And then I just go behind the billboard for Wild Season for a second and just slowly let out a part of my soul. And then I go back out and I keep going. If you guys, we had a bunch of pictures from that time. I look awful.
Yeah, Sharon even posted a photo of you. I'm like, take that down.
I'm surprised people approached me at all.
I'm not. You're very pretty. You're very approachable. And you're very fun. So yeah.
house, I'm sure they were like, your eyes aren't supposed to be that color. You're not supposed to be that color.
Did you just cough?
I'm pretty sure there's some liquid coming out of your body from your nose that just shouldn't be coming out. I was horrendous. But anyway, yeah, so that's how Maddie kind of got started in something that people don't really think about with video games very much, is the actual more businessy side rather than the more creative side. But the business side's just as important. Somebody's gotta actually say that the game exists and make sure that they sell it and stuff. So on the other end, you have me, who did not meet Sharon during an internship program.
This is an amazing story, guys. Take a seat.
The story goes, I guess I'll start where you started. I started playing video games when I was super young. I was actually prescribed them by a doctor. I had terrible hand-eye coordination when I was younger. He was like, make her play video games. So my parents used to yell at me to go play video games, which was probably not how most households happened. And I actually hated video games for a while because I had to play them. But I really got into Pokemon because in America, Pokemon was like crack there for a while.
Oh my God.
And they gave it to children, which made it even worse. And hi, One Fell Swoop. Yes, my doctor was awesome. He was very progressed for his time, because I'm pretty sure not many doctors were doing that. But anyway, so my story with Quickfire started. Oh, by the way, I majored in English in college. I never took any sort of programming, art. So as Sharon likes to say, I'm the most technologically capable person working for the company in the United States. I'm the only person. One of our producers likes to joke that he had to teach me how to use Google Docs, which is not true. I had one question once, okay? Yeah, I don't really have a game design background, per se. I graduated, and I was supposed to teach in Japan for a year. And I did go to Japan for a month. Allow me to tell you why I was in Japan for only a month when I was supposed to teach for a year. Actually, wait a second. I need to rewind the story for a second. Just before I went to Japan, I pledged on Kickstarter for Wild Season, and it was my first Kickstarter pledge. It was like 2 days before I left. So I'm in Japan. I do my training. I'm in my first week. I'm shadowing. And when I first get there to Nagoya, that's where I'm supposed to live, my manager took me to get a flu shot. Now, that would usually be fine, you know, except for my body decided that it wanted to be severely allergic to a flu shot to the point of near fatality. It took it about 3 days. I kept feeling worse and worse every day, but I thought, oh, I'm in a new country. I'm eating like new food, you know, it must be something in, you know, the air that I'm getting used to, something like that, stress, whatever. Well, I faint at work. And I wake up in a hospital, and they're like, we think you had a panic attack. And now I'm sitting there and I'm like, not really sure how a panic attack would do this to me. But I was like, I have been stressed, that's fine. Except I couldn't move my leg, which I'm pretty sure doesn't happen when you have a panic attack. I was paralyzed on my left side for like 13 days, and my heart almost stopped. That was fun. Nobody spoke like very fluent English, which I mean makes sense. I was in Japan. Thankfully I took some Japanese, but it was not medical Japanese. I could, you know, order an egg, tell them directions, things that a 4-year-old can do. And needless to say, I went home to America 15 days later because I still kind of couldn't move, even though they had figured out what was wrong, and they had given me, I was on 1,000 milligrams of steroids for like 3 days, all of that.
Tell them how much the entire thing cost you.
So, I was in a hospital for 15 days. I had at least 3 MRIs, 2 CAT scans, an X-ray. I had nerve conduction test. I had a lumbar puncture. I was in a private room for all of this. I had other tests. Because of the Japanese healthcare system, though, I paid $1,000.
Originally, how much was it?
Oh, over $1 million. Because what happens is, if your medical bills for that month exceed what you make in a month, instead of having to pay, you don't have to pay full price, even if you are under that. but you pay a different percentage. But if you go over that, you pay 1% of what you were supposed to, like what the total bill is, I guess. So I managed to have a life or death situation in Japan for $1,000, which, hey, you know, I was like, you know what, this is fine. Wrecked the rest of my savings that I had saved up, but I was like, you know what, that's fine. I went back home and I was pissed. I was like, really? This is what happens to me. And I had just gotten out of a physical rehabilitation hospital because I had to kind of like learn how to walk again. Thankfully, once I like got the hang of it, it was very quick. Like I was on like a walker for only 2 days and then like crutches for like a couple of months. I had just gotten out and I was getting updates from the Kickstarter because actually while I was in the hospital, the Kickstarter was successful. So, you know, Sharon was sending out things and he had mentioned, oh, at some point we're going to hire an assistant writer. It was not a call to send in a resume at all. But I was like, screw it. I'm walking on crutches. I hate my life. I'm gonna apply. What's the worst that happens? I never hear back from anyone ever again. Well, needless to say, here I am. Hi guys. What's up? I sent in a short story collection because that's all I had.
So from assistant writer, you just became the lead writer and one of the game designers of the game.
Yeah. I've moved up in my life. I was assistant writer for all of like 4 days. And then I was just writer. Yeah, so that's how a person in America somehow ends up with a company in the Philippines by almost dying in Japan and then getting really mad at life and then seeing a not call for a job at all and trying to get it anyway. So hey, if you ever think that somebody needs help with something and you can actually do it, it never hurts to send in your resume. That's what I've learned in my life. So, yeah, I've been with Quickfire now for a year and a half. I think I joined at like the very, very beginning of February last year.
Pretty much. I joined in October last year.
You were too far after me. So, yeah, that's kind of how we ended up joining Quickfire. I know, mine was like this weird trip while Mads was like so normal and, you know, logical and the things that should actually happen to people. But no, I apparently have to be allergic to things.
Yeah, you just have a more interesting chapter in your life than I am.
We kind of wanted to have this discussion more to just talk about how I think a lot of times like colleges and things like that make it seem like you have to be so single track mind into what you're doing. And I think that sometimes people too are like, oh, well, to get into game design, I have to, not game design, but just to work on a game
development.
Like I have to program or be a really good artist or, you know, things like that. I'm trying to think of, see, that's the thing. I don't even think my school had. I went to Indiana University, which is a very big school. I think it has like 42,000 students. Yeah, it's a big school. I don't think we actually had anything in game design. We might have had like a class or two, but like you couldn't go down a game design track. At least I don't think you could. That's how little I know about it. It would be in the School of Informatics. Oh my gosh. But I never heard of anybody doing that. I always thought it would be cool to write for games, and I'm really happy I'm writing for games now. Unfortunately, one of the things with my school too was that doing any sort of script writing, like I pretty much during college had to teach myself script writing because there was just no classes for it. I took a playwriting class. That was like the closest I got.
I'm in the marketing team and I've never had any marketing background whatsoever, but Sean was there. He just gave me things to read and study and then here I am.
That's a lot of a job. I mean, there's obviously jobs that you really need like a ton of schooling behind, like, you know, a doctor, you probably want them to go to med school. Just a thought. But, you know, there's a lot of things too that there's no better learning tool than experience.
Yes, very true.
There's a lot of positions that, you know, schooling helps. Like, it's not that it doesn't help because it really does. Even if it makes you figure out that you don't like the thing that you might want to go into, which is a huge help.
But I guess it's the passion of wanting to be in which industry or which position you want to be in.
Mm-hmm. So we just wanted to talk about something a little bit different than my run-of-the-mill Hey guys, I'm gonna throw some characters at you. Colorfully Minded says I'm kind of wanting to look into writing for video games as well. I really love to write, especially when getting deeper into characters and their personalities, so I'd love to write for a video game. That's so cool. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that's so great about video games is, you know, you can have a video game where there's no dialogue. You don't need it. It's a character running through a level, or it's, you know, Tetris, or it's something like that, or you can have something like The Last of Us, or, you know, something really, really narratively driven, and it's really nice that there's so much flexibility in that, because I don't feel like many other mediums have the amount of flexibility that video games do, and interactive media really does. So Gio, you're right. Gameplay can absolutely be used to tell a story. And I think some of the best stories are told through gameplay. I think using what you have and your limitations and what you have with gameplay can be really interesting and can work out really well. So anyway, I think we are kind of approaching time. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, this is the lovely Mads below me. And I am Kelsey, and I really hope you guys will join us next week. I'm not really sure what we'll be doing yet, but I'm sure it will be fun and all of that. So thank you guys so much.
Bye.
Bye.